The Wednesday morning, if you've just switched us on, it is the 25th of August. This is our breakfast.
This is Hot Breakfast.
All right, there we go. She said it, I said it, Sanana, we know exactly where we are. Spotted something really interesting. The Cape Winelands District Municipality have launched a COVID-19 awareness game, and it's aimed at helping, teachers and parents. It's aimed at helping keeping them safe. And I suppose any messaging that we can put out there at the moment around COVID-19 and what needs to happen and what the protocols are and what the safety precautions are, that is a much needed shot in the arm. It's almost as good as the jab, really, if we're well informed and we couple that with the vaccination and with the jab, well, then we're doubly safe, I suppose. But to talk to us about that game, I've got joining us not only on the radio but also on multiple social media platforms. So we've got this conversation live on Facebook. It's also live on our YouTube channel. The Deputy Director who looks after communication services for the Cape Winelands District Municipality, Joe, and Otto, joining us out of Worcester this morning. Morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning, Aidan, and good morning, listeners. What a pleasure to be here this morning. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolute pleasure. All right, so it's an awareness game. What form does this game take, and why was the idea then even formulated to have a game in the first place?
Well, firstly, the idea was formulated by our little comms team, and it literally was a case of our graphic designer said, oh, there's really nothing for children to understand what their role is. Can't we develop a game? And my colleague, Aneska, she's our public relations officer, she said, yeah, we could base it on something easy like snakes and ladders. And from there, the idea grew. We've worked a little bit with some of the other units in our organization, the disaster management unit and the environmental health people, to make sure that the game is compliant with all the rules, so it can be sanitized and all sorts of things like that, and that the language used is appropriate for the age group that we're aiming at. So, listeners, it's very important that we know that we all know that kids want to be involved in what's going on. If there's a rugby game, the kids play rugby. If the family are hikers, the kids hike. And here we have this worldwide pandemic, and no one is telling, or not no one, but people aren't telling through play, children, how can they help? What can they do? How can they be involved? And how can they protect the people that love them and care for them and educate them? Because the horror of it all is that kids don't really become that ill from COVID, but they go to school and they go home, and their parents go to work and come home, and their teachers go home, and everyone sort of brings the germs and the virus to them, and these poor little kids just go around spreading joy everywhere. So we wanted to create an environment where kids could learn what they could do to help keep their parents safe and ultimately keep our schools open and our parents able to go to work.
Awesome. In fact, if you're following on our social media, you'd have seen we popped up a video there now of kids sort of huddled around a table, and the board game is there, and them throwing dice and so on. It seems sort of good and interactive and real excitement on the part of the kids. So how's the game spread within your municipality? How would kids have access to it?
Okay, so we're very excited to be joined forces with the Department of Education here in the Cape Winelands, and we're actually distributing 10,000 games to all grade 2 learners in the Cape Winelands, starting with the most vulnerable schools first. And that distribution will actually start in the next week or so. It'll go out via their system, so that each class will get the amount that they need. And what they're so excited about is not only for the protection offers of this game, and it really is based on snakes and ladders, so kids can easily understand it and they're familiar with it, and the rules are appropriate for children. So some of the rules are things like, oops, you shared your cooldrink bottle, skip a turn, or it's within the power of the child. We're not advocating the children to instruct parents on what to do. We're advocating that children control their environment. So they must tell their friend, "Moenie so naby my Sydney," and they must tell their friend, I'm not sharing my lunch with you. I'm not sharing my cooldrink bottle. Or remember, when we go into the class, sanitize my hands. But what education is so excited about in our area, and what they said is with the COVID is the year has really battered the kids' ability to have learned, and everyone's a little bit on the back foot at the moment. And the game encourages three things that they're very big on, and that is obviously reading, and so literacy, counting, because they've got to count. And the nice thing, which we didn't even consider when the game was being developed, is because the kids are taking the game home, we're actually giving a little bit of good quality family time. So Ma, Pa, and sissies and butties and everybody can sit around a table after supper and play a game. I mean, how nice is that? So, you know, there are many benefits that just have come from this tiny project, and we're very happy about that. And Aidan, with regard to being able to access the game, during the first week of September, the Cape Winelands District Municipality will be launching our new webpage, and the game will be available in all three languages, downloadable, printable, to anybody who accesses it via our webpage. And when that goes live, we will remind you and send you a little press release.
Yeah.
We're very excited about, you know, sharing is caring, and there's no reason that we need to hold on to something that was developed by our organization.
All right. Speaking of sharing, I'm sure other municipalities are a little annoyed at themselves that they didn't think of this one first. Have you had approaches from anybody else to say, listen, can we use this concept? Can we adapt it for our own purposes?
Not so many yet. I must admit, in our district, our municipalities work very well together. So we've had a few little congratulations from the locals. Maybe perhaps they've been slow in congratulating due to that very point. I didn't consider it. But definitely there have been calls from community members via our social media pages asking where they can get hold of it and how they can distribute it. Because although we're distributing to grade 2s, any classroom can use them. So foundation phase is the target, but you know, anybody can use them. And as I say, it'll be up and running within the next 2 weeks.
Well, to the team at the Cape Winelands District Municipality who came up with this forward-thinking game, it's a massive well done from us. I'm looking at some of the comments coming up on our social media feed. People saying it's exactly the kind of thing that kids should be exposed to, and it's a very clever way of getting the messaging out there. So our congratulations to your team, and thanks so much for chatting to us this morning here on our breakfast.
Thank you very much, Aidan. And next time you get me up this early on social media platforms, you're wearing the pink lipstick. Thank you very much.
There we go. All right. It's thanks there to Joanne Otto, who is Deputy Director, looks after communication for Cape Winelands District Municipality. All the details on our social media. If you want to go along and see for yourself what it looks like, check it out on our YouTube or our Facebook feeds. All right. Okay. No Scholar Hollow this morning.
Is Andri nou in een plek. Nou moet ons kyk wie die eerste. Dis nou op ons kansiaar. Nou wil ek kyk as twee slange en 'n leer. Okay, daar sê wie dit nou.